But going live.
Oh, it just cuts off. Are you serious?
That's brilliant.
What? Are we live now?
You're gonna have to do the same energy.
I know, that's not.
Wait, let's go again.
I just did a huge intro. I was so proud of myself for my intro for the Pancakes and Praise thing. Are we live now, Tejas? Can you hear us? Thumbs up?
You send a voice message, you don't realize you're not recording.
I switch back over there and it's like, it's still going on. Like, what? Come on. Are we good? I'm not going to do this again without a verification. You guys verify for me in the comment field if we're live.
Can you hear Rob?
Or is it robot?
Yeah, we're live.
Okay, so we were robot for a little bit. We're all good. Wow. Okay, thank you. Guys, we are here this morning, live, Pancakes and Praise. Thanks for joining us. We have a very, very special guest with us today who's with us. His name is David, all the way across town. David, where are you? I don't even know where you're living at these days. You're in like
South Shine, sort of.
British. Okay, that's
area.
The really cool area. The really cool area that takes me about an hour to get to, so that I don't get to go to the really cool area. So some of you guys may know David from church, but then some of you may not also recognize him all the time and stuff. So, but I love this man. I'm so glad he's here. He's going to share just a bit about who he is, where he's from and all that. And then, hey, if you're just now watching, we have a few questions up at the top. Feel free to answer the questions in the comment field. You can do that, right? I think we're comfortable with them doing that.
Yeah, sure.
You don't have to wait for us to ask the question. Just take charge, take the initiative. Okay, like your mom told you always, have initiative. Go out there and go do it. Okay, you can do it. So answer the questions. They're at the top. Okay. All right, Dave. Tell us a bit about who you are, bro.
Good. Hi. Good morning. So I am David. Hail all the way from South Africa, born and raised, and actually grew up in the north of South Africa, a place called Pretoria. And then spent most of my life actually in Cape Town, which I think most people are sort of more familiar with. Yeah, lived and worked there, and then eventually decided I wanted to aspire, go abroad and work somewhere in Europe or in America. Actually moved to New York prior to coming to Germany, which was around August last year, and then got a job opportunity in Berlin. Managed to move myself over here at the end of October last year, and I've been here for about 8 months. So it's been an interesting experience up till now. Other than that, love walking around meeting strangers. Some of you might have seen. So I do this challenge where I meet one stranger per day for 2,000 days, hence the shirt. And just an ambassador of Christ, trying to bring people closer to him.
Have you met David?
Have you met David?
This is one of my, it is like a hashtag or something that's out there. But, no, it's your
promote my Instagram page.
Yeah, it's not my
Have you met David?
Have you met
2000 on
David?
Instagram.
Yes, well done on the plug. Nice work on that. Yeah, actually, I think that all the time whenever I see you or see a post on Instagram, I'm like, have you met David? Because this guy generates so much joy and so much enthusiasm for the church and for the Lord. It is so cool to actually hang out with him whenever we get to, and that's why this morning's Pancakes and Praise, that's why this one is so much, it's so great. It's so great. So, okay, so I do have a few things I want to tell you about. Tomorrow we have 101. Guys, have we taken class 101? Last time I took it was 15 years ago. I'm teaching it tomorrow night at 6. I hope that you guys can join us. We have class 101 that really is our membership class. So it's happening 6 o'clock tomorrow night on Zoom. Also, I want to tell you, we have something new that's happening at Saddleback Church.
Yeah, so, sorry, good question, Lear. Where are the pancakes? Definitely, I have my pancakes right there.
Also, something that I just want to share, because this is a real hipster mug.
Yeah, we have more pancakes now.
More pancakes. The children are working very hard in the kitchen, so we have them attend. This is ministry, people. We believe empowering young children into ministering to us directly. But by the way, let us be. Show us what's in your mug this morning. I'll show you what's in mine. I've got some hot coffee here.
Coffee.
And then a little bit of Schlagson. It's my favorite go-to creamer. Love the body. Love the texture of the drink. You drop it in there, right? It just gets all nice and thick. It's great.
Do you also have your syrup as well?
We put the questions up at top, so go ahead and chime in. If you have a moment, go up to the top and see what we'll be talking about this morning. Guys, today's sermon, we're talking about patience, which, by the way, when you're waiting for pancakes to come and you're anticipating the taste of fluffy, beautiful pancakes, you have to be patient. It's true. You really do, because especially, you know, when you are thinking about it and dreaming about it, you have to wait for the pancakes to come. And so patience is sometimes a big deal, even for breakfast in the morning. Waiting for coffee to brew, you gotta wait for that to go through. Okay, so my examples are really serious. Do we have any spiritual examples that we can think of, maybe of patience in the Bible? Is there a scripture out there that you guys like? Or maybe an example from scripture that Fraser David could share with us just a little bit? Patience. You want to go first? It's a great name.
Okay, I'll go first.
Patience is a great name. It's kind of a beautiful name for maybe like a little girl or something. Her name's Patience. She's my little virtue.
Yeah, I think as a David, I always relate to David in the Bible, and I think specifically from a patience point of view, when he was anointed as king, and still had to wait about 17 years before actually becoming the king of Israel and leading Israel. And I think that must have been such a humiliating phase to go back and, you know, tend and look after sheep while you know that you're anointed for king. And I think that whole process, obviously, a wonderful preparation phase that he had to go through, which God worked with him. I actually heard this sermon once said that you should never underestimate the humiliation or these humiliating phases in your life, because sometimes the humiliation is a preparation for acceleration towards your destination. And I think we sometimes in a space where we get impatient, of course, and we don't really see how God is using this phase that you are in, even though it doesn't fit the world's way of thinking, to actually accelerate you maybe towards where he really needs you. Yeah, for me, David in the Bible, King of Israel, definitely a great illustration of how patience can lead to wonderful fruit.
I see that Hannah's story too. Kate just putting that in there. Beautiful story of really Samuel's mom. Samuel was a prophet in the Old Testament, and Hannah was barren most of her life, but she had to wait for God to provide and to give her that answer of a sweet son, and she dedicated him to the Lord, of course. So, but what an honor to be the mother of Samuel, who, such a pivotal figure in the Old Testament.
We actually eventually anointed David as king over Israel.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah, of course. They come
Any Hannahs at church?
Yeah, contemporaries. Samuel was kind of the boss of David in many ways. So, and praise. I know that you are. I like to think of praise is definitely praiseworthy, but also in the area of patience as well. This guy has many virtues, but I'm sure you have an example to also share with us this morning.
Yeah, I think for me it's Joseph. I was just discussing with David this morning, and then I told him at some point, I said, you know, it's very easy to encourage other people, but then we often forget when you point one finger at others, there are four fingers pointing back at you. So for me, it's Joseph, and he had a dream of becoming a ruler, but then he was enslaved. And even at some point, you could ask yourself what questions were going through his mind while he was in the prison. Such questions could be, I'm not even sure this God exists, or I'm not even sure if this is how my life is going to be. I'm not sure I'm going to make it. You know what? Let me just go back. Let me just get out of this little dirty place I'm in, and then just go back to my country and just be myself all again, or just be nobody. But the dramatic turn came when the king he was invited by the king to interpret the dream. And then the king said, I was told you are this kind of person that can interpret dreams. But then to my surprise, Joseph said, no, actually, it's not me. It is God that can give the power to interpret dreams. And for me, this is an encouragement because definitely Joseph never gave up on God, despite the 12-year gap he had from having a dream about being a ruler to actually becoming a ruler. So this is a patient virtue for me. Joseph example is something that I hold on to, I esteem a lot.
Amazing. Patience. Is that something that you've been asking God for? I feel like that's been one of my prayer requests over the last few. I don't know about you guys for sure, but actually I'm pretty certain that maybe everybody in the world has been begging God for patience, or looking maybe even within themselves for some extra scrap of patience over the last few months to just get through the day and to not blow up. You know, you think of that really funny scene out of that movie, I think it's called Jerry Maguire, where Tom Cruise is like, of course, is this walking through this line and people are staring at him and he just like freaks out in front of people, and maybe people just feel like they're kind of right at the edge there and you're just going to explode and just go ballistic, like right in front of everybody on the train or on the bus or something. But God, of course, wants us to have order in our lives and wants us to have peace and wants us to have patience. And so, great message coming up in just a few minutes with Pastor Rick on that. So, guys, I have just a couple other things here to share. That we're doing something called Church at Home. This is really cool that David's here with us this morning. Praise too, because you shouldn't watch church alone. Don't watch alone. Never do that. We want to hear from you if you are interested in maybe watching with another group of people that are spread out across the city. Let us know. You can go to the connection. You can actually go to Connect and just let us know or send us an email. I'll be talking about this a little bit later in the sermon. But if you're also a small group leader or a host and you're like, hey, we meet, throughout the week, but I'm fine with opening up my home on Sunday mornings at 11 for folks to come by and have a lunch and have a coffee, breakfast, whatever it is, and hang out with us and watch the service. This is kind of a new initiative that Saddleback is doing. And before we begin to meet at church at Culture, we're going to meet at home. And so Church at Home is something, of course, it's found throughout the New Testament and plenty of scripture for that. But it's something I think exciting for us here in Berlin because, my gosh, I mean, could you imagine? I just can't imagine just being without you guys, without my family, and just here alone and my laptop. And the experience would be decreased significantly. So we don't want that.
Thanks,
yeah,
Rob.
I know. I love you guys. I love you. I want you here in my life. This is the church. That's what it really is. These guys
existing as community. Yeah, absolutely.
So David, you're gonna have to join us now every weekend.
Seems okay.
It's a nice
trip. I did to